so much, Aisha, for agreeing to do an interview with the B Foundation. I've seen your content. I've been following you for a while. So when I sent that email and you accepted, I was very excited. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, well, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
So I'll just start off with an easy question, but like what motivated you to become a teacher?
You know what? Ever since I was a young child, I always wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't really know if I could do it. I had a lot of self-doubt surrounding it because I had so many strong people in my life that influenced me to be a teacher. And I was like, dang, can I keep up with that? Like, can I be on that same level? Is that something that I could provide for people? And so I struggled with it for a really long time, and I almost like doubted the fact that I could ever do it. But when the opportunity presented itself to me, I said, you know what? I've been praying for God to, show me something that I need to step into, that I need to try. And so I said, you know what? Let me just give myself this opportunity to almost heal my inner child, and do this. And it was so fulfilling from literally the day that I walked into my school, and it has not changed ever since. So it was almost like just faith and trusting that, okay, I want to do this because I've always wanted to do this. And it's something that I think that I can help because I've seen how teachers have helped me. And so that was really the biggest thing, was keeping up with the teachers that have been a part of my journey in life.
How do you incorporate technology into your teaching? If you do, if not, what's your reasons?
So that is really good. When it came to my students, I tried my best not to do too much technology because I feel like nowadays, a lot of the kids are getting so far away. Because I taught middle school, so I taught seventh graders. And one of the things that I noticed was that they had no sense of awareness when it came to doing assignments, doing homeworks, taking notes. Like all of those things was just completely lost. And I know that this generation was the generation that during COVID, they lost a lot of those building skills on writing and things like that. So we didn't do a lot of technology in the classroom. I had them really focus on fine motor skills, like writing on a sheet of paper. What does it look like when you're writing your name? I even taught them how to use a dictionary instead of being so used to going on Google and Google searching a word. And I just felt like technology is good. And I mean, they're going to grow up with this. This is something that's a part of our world. But I felt like it was so important to hone in on the things that made simple things easy, like being able to look in a dictionary for a word, being able to write a heading, write a paragraph, write a full sentence using punctuation marks. Because Siri is going to correct it for you, but do you know why the comma is there? You're going to look up a word and they can find the word for you, but do you even understand the concept of what it means to find this word? What is a noun? What does that mean? How do you know when you see this word? How is it pronounced? So technology wasn't a big thing in my classroom, outside of using like our Promethean boards that we were given as teachers. But I tried to focus a lot on like actual fine motor skills, writing, reading, picking up a book in your hand and touching it for yourself instead of just scrolling or using a mouse or something to highlight something. No, grab an actual highlighter and highlight this sentence in this note, and let's talk about why that's there. So I did not do a lot of technology, although I'm a tech girl myself, but I felt like it was really important for me to really teach them what it means to build that fine motor skill.
So with that in mind, how do you feel like with the growth of AI and like the growth of students really using it to like write their assignments and stuff? So like how do you feel about it?
Let me tell you. So I'm one of the I was a fun teacher, but I was very, very strict with my students, and I made them get used to writing essays. Now, again, I have seventh graders. No one wants to write an essay, even as an adult, as I'm sitting here. If someone told me to write a 5 paragraph essay, I might not be the happiest, but I can get it done. So I would give them homework assignments where they had to write either a paragraph, 5 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, whatever. And I would notice that they would use AI. And this is the thing with preteens. You're going to ask them, hey, did you do this? And they're going to lie. Like, let's be honest. They're going to say, no, I didn't. And I'm like, babe, the words that are in this paragraph, I know you can't pronounce it, let alone spell it without Google assisting you. So I know that you used AI. And so I really had to get them out of using AI and feeling comfortable with, oh, I'm going to let a computer type this up for me. Because again, they're losing the skills to be able to use their own mind. The mind is so powerful. And I feel like a lot of these kids nowadays, from whatever age range, I mean, up to high school, if you're relying solely on technology to think for you, you're going to lose so much of yourself as a person. You're going to lose what it really feels like to be a human being because you're not using your whole purpose of what it is to be a human. And so anytime I had a student use AI to write their paragraph, I would immediately tell them, take this back. I'm not going to give you a grade for this. I'm going to mark this as incomplete, and I want you to rewrite it in your own words. And sometimes I'll make them do it in front of me. I need to see. I'm here to help you. That's my job. Don't let technology and AI and all these other things tell you what you can and cannot do. That's my job. I can show you how to do it. I can actually break it down for you again. I can tell you why this comma needs to be here, and as opposed to AI just putting it there and you just think, oh, this is good enough because I trust the computer better than my own brain. I wanted to stop that. So I'm not a fan of AI, although I use it for myself, but I don't use it to write things for me. I use it more so to bounce off ideas off of what I already think of, you know? I think I
Mm.
said that right.
No,
I
I
I think
perfectly
that makes
understand
sense.
it. How do you foster a sense of community among your students?
Oh my gosh. So one thing that I did was I moved seats a lot. I was a seating arrangement teacher. I felt like it's easier not only for me, also for the students. And if I had any sub or anyone that would come into the classroom, it's just easy overall. So I always made sure at the end of every quarter I'm switching seats. Now I was one of the teachers that taught students that spoke multiple languages. So I had students that spoke Czech. I had students that spoke Spanish. I had students who were that spoke, many different languages to go through the list. It's so many. But what I did was I tried to put a little bit of everything everywhere because you know your students, you'll know what groups sit where, who's the friends, and who's the boyfriend and girlfriend, and who's the this and who's the that. So it's really important to try and mix and put everyone in places. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because, then they're able to turn around and meet new people, foster relationships, get to know people that they may will never get a chance to meet outside in the real world if they're so used to their own little bubble.
Mm.
But boy, oh boy, the curse is that you'll sit them next to a student that you think they won't talk, and then 3 weeks later they are best friends, and you're like, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to stop talking. But it's a good thing, because you have to be able to communicate and build those relationships, and it's also a really cool thing as a teacher to be able to see like you guys never spoke, but since I put you guys together, now y'all are friends. So it kind of like maybe selfishly feels good to be like, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for your new bestie. You're welcome. Yeah, because I did that. I just, it feels like love is blind a little bit. Feels a
You
little
are
love is
hilarious.
blindish.
You are hilarious. You're everything. Your personality is everything.
Oh, thank you.
Has social media helped you connect with other educators or influencers in your field?
So, yes, honestly, I didn't talk a lot about my education journey or my educating journey. I didn't mention to anyone that I was a teacher. When I posted my gender reveal, which I did not expect that to go viral at all. Trust me, if I did, I would have like slicked my edges or something or like put on some lip gloss, girl. That video went viral and I'm like, wait, hold on, everybody, give me a second. But anyway, once that video went viral and people found out that I was a teacher, a lot of people were reaching out to me, even to the point where people who were going to college to become educators are like, I just would love to be a sponge. Like, what did you do? Give me some advice. And I did the best that I could to give them all the information that I had, because honestly, that was my first year teaching. I'd never taught prior to that. I've only ever been a student. So to go from sitting in the chairs as a student to now sitting in the chair as a teacher, I took as much time to learn a lot about the environment, the people, the experience, because again, when you're a student, you don't really know what's happening. You kind of just go to class, do your work, and leave. But when you're the teacher, it's so much more than just standing in front of a board and saying 1 + 1 = 2. Like there's so many pieces that happens behind the scenes that I realized later. And I was able to literally take all of that and then help people. And I didn't even realize that that was what I think God wanted me to do. And it's been such a blessing. So, yes, I've met a lot of people through that one viral video of my gender reveal. And I'm grateful for it because I think that it's now shown other people that, hey, you can be a teacher and the students can love you. It's not difficult. Like people were so shocked that, oh my God, these kids must love her. She must be a great teacher. And it's like, I would hope so. I mean, I spent a lot of my time with these kids. I built relationships with them. They look forward to this gender reveal, I felt like more than my family. Like I told them, I said, if you think it's a girl, wear pink. If you think it's a boy, wear blue. Girl, somebody then dyed their hair pink. Some girl came in a full pink outfit because the dedication that I gave to them. And I know that they gave it back to me. And so it's been a blessing to be able to share that same knowledge with first time teachers, even teachers that have been teaching for years and years. Although, you can never really, what they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but trust
Yeah.
me, they are out there and they want to know because the generations are different. So
Um, so as an experience of a teacher, do you think you'll be bringing that into your being a new parent?
oh, 100%. I actually cannot wait to start. I mean, my baby is literally only a couple weeks old. Like she's not even a month yet. She'll be a month soon. But I have been already implementing a lot of the things that I want her to know. Like communicating is so important. I know that nowadays these kids speak in memes and things like that. And honestly, so do I. Like I am aware, like I'm not completely lost to this generation, but I want her to have the skills of being able to communicate. My students, like nowadays, like, oh, don't make kids stand in front of the classroom. You don't want, yes, and I get that, right? Like, you don't want to pinpoint and make people feel uncomfortable, but being able to stand in front of the classroom and speak, like being able to feel confident with your friends to, I had my kids come up with a podcast one day. Each one of my students came up with a podcast episode, and all of us sat down and watched a podcast episode. And that's fun because not only are they learning things like doing research, putting things together, how to write a script, what it means to have a podcast, all of those little things, but it also gives them the confidence to say, okay, I can speak in front of people. And I want my daughter to be able to have that confidence for herself as well, and being able to learn a lot about herself. And also for me, being able to teach her how she can learn a lot about herself, how she can look into a dictionary, how she can do all these things because she's so young. I don't know what the internet's going to look like when she goes to school, but I'm going to do the best that I can to implement all the things that I taught my students and making sure that she feels that same way. And when she goes to school, she don't embarrass me. Because what you're not going to do is have them teachers calling me because I was the teacher calling them. So I will make sure that my daughter is well mannered and well respected. Because boy, every Friday I'm calling parents like, ma'am, I please, I need your assistance with your child.
You're very much like the second parent to some of these
Oh, for
children.
sure. But you know what though? I enjoyed that because I was able to foster relationships with some of these kids that parents were like completely lost. I had a student that she would come to me and we would have deep conversations. Like I made it a really big point as well for me to be more than just a teacher but also a role model because again they're spending so much time with us. So I would tell them, listen, if you want to talk, come on. Like I've had students come to my classroom and cry. I've had students come, we have fixed conflicts. Like that's the type of teacher that I was because it's important. Those are the teachers that make a lasting impression. That's what I experienced. And so it was times where I'll have meetings with parents and I'll be like, hey, these are the things that, your child was telling me. And they'll be like, I had no idea. I didn't even know that she was feeling this way. I didn't even know that he thought this. I didn't. And I'm like, do you talk to your kids? Like, you have to build that relationship. They live with you. They're just with me for a couple of hours. So I really made it a point to try my best to let these students know that you can feel comfortable talking to a teacher. A teacher's not an op. Like that's their favorite thing. Oh, the teachers are ops, they're ops, they're ops. And it's like you have to feel comfortable with somebody. You can't think that every adult in this building is here to be against you. There are some in this building that genuinely care about you and want to see you succeed. And I'm one of them. So if that means I got to call you out, if that means I got to stand on business, which a lot of them always say, like Miss S, at the time I was Miss S, but now I'm Miss Owens, but Miss S stand on business, Miss S stand on business. Yeah, because if I catch you in a lie, now you got to explain to me why you lied or why I caught you. Because now the lie wasn't even that good. And now we got to figure out what was the point of the lie or why you said you was going to do this and didn't do it. So I think it's important for parents out there to build a relationship with their children, but also as teachers, you never, ever, ever know what these kids are going through. I've heard so many stories and seen so many things of these 12, 13, 14-year-olds. And I'm like, as a 30-year-old woman, I've never even I wouldn't even fathom to know what that's like. And so sometimes some of these kids just need a hug. Some of them just need somebody to talk to. And when I would see that that's going on, I'll literally say, do you want a moment? Do you need a hug right now? And they'll say yes. Give them a big old hug and say, hey, listen, it's okay, whatever you need. And I'll ask them, do you need someone to talk to? Do you want me to talk? Or do you want me to just sit down and we can color together? Like that was the relationship that I built. B20, which was my classroom, B20 was the safe space for these kids, which is why they know Miss S don't play.
If there was one thing that you could just change about the education field, what would be like the one big thing that you would want either implemented, removed,
Mm,
changed?
mm. Maybe I should sign an NDA before we get started. No, I'm kidding. You know, hey, for it to be one thing, if I had to choose one thing, I think that I would change the way that the district handles each school. And I don't even know if that's probably so vague, but a lot of the issues that I notice comes from, from not corporate, but from district. And the best way that I could put it is that I feel like you have to know each student, you have to know each classroom. As a teacher, you not only learn about your second block is different from your third block, is different from your fourth block, is different from your fifth block. Each block of students is going to be different. Each student is going to be different, right? And so when district has these requirements that they're like, these kids have to meet this, and I'm like, okay, but you're asking kids that don't necessarily have the skills to understand or to be able to fulfill whatever this is. And you're expecting me to make magic out of nothing, and not out of nothing, but make magic out of what I have dealt with me. If I have a student that literally cannot read, I had students that couldn't read. And I had to explain to them what words mean, like how to write things. And you're asking them to sit down in silence for 4 hours and take a test with no breaks, no nothing, just sitting there in a cold blank room, looking at a computer, answering questions. That gives anxiety even for me as an adult. And I grew up taking tests. Like that's something that, we took tests on pen and paper, not pen and paper, but pencil and paper, to the point where you couldn't even color outside of that box so it'll mark your answer wrong. So imagine the anxiety we had. These kids have it worse. So if I could change one thing, it's just I wish district would let the teachers be the teachers and be able to say, okay, what you're asking me to do will work for this block of students because this is my advanced class. These are my students that can handle these types of information. Now, this block, I might need to do a little bit more with them because they're not going to quite grasp the information that you're asking for. So they might not be on the same level as this class and this class. So that's probably not the best answer, but I just wish district would let teachers be the teachers and I'm gonna stop saying what I want to say because I'm gonna keep going and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna leave it right there.
It's okay. The answer is perfectly reasonable. Some schools and some students all it needs a little need a little help differently, and setting the
Yeah,
bar for everyone is kind of difficult for
it
every student to
is.
reach it.
Absolutely. And you have to give these kids grace because they will start to think that they're not worthy because these kids they're not oblivious to what's going on. They're not unaware, so you cannot make it seem like, oh, they don't know that they don't understand that they're very much so aware. And as the teachers, we have to be the therapists, we have to be the parents, we have to be all the things. So who am I to try and build trust with them? And they already know that I'm lying to them because I have to do what district is telling me. I tell them all the time, I'm like, I'm not here to lie to you. I tell my students the truth. These are the scores of the test, okay? This is what we need to work on. I need you to see it because you need to be aware and you need to take responsibility for your own actions. So that's how we're going to be able to work together. This is what the scores are saying, babe. This is what they said, not me. This is the test you took. This is the data. So let's come together as teacher and student and see how we can get this data to go up. Because once they see it for themselves and they're aware, they want to be better. They want to grow. They want to excel. But we can't hide it from them. We can't think that they're so unaware and so oblivious to what's happening in the world. Absolutely not, especially middle schoolers. When I tell people I taught middle school, like they felt like they needed to spray holy water on me. And it's like, look, I get it. These kids are different. Middle schoolers are a little more rough, but it's because they need more attention. They need that love and care. So I loved it. I love teaching middle school. I wouldn't change at all.
How do you handle burnout or fatigue from maintaining an active social media presence along your teaching career?
Ooh, well, again, like I mentioned, I didn't share too much of it online because I didn't want that fatigue. I didn't want to be viewed as the perfect teacher, the teacher with all the answers, a teacher that can handle it all, because there were days that I will sit in my classroom, pull my little window hider down, lock the windows, and bawl my eyes out. And then the next class will come in and I got to be ready for them to come. So honestly, I tried my best to respect my own boundaries. Classroom or anything that has to do with classwork, grading, whatever, I do that during my work hours. And when I go home, I go home. I leave work at work and I take home home. That was the biggest thing for me because I was someone that was grading papers at home while I'm trying to eat dinner with my husband. That's not how that works. When I'm at work and I'm doing whatever I need to do, I will allocate the time that I need to take care of all those things. So when I come home, I can decompress. I can restart because I have to go back and give these students my all. But I cannot pour out of an empty cup. So I didn't make it a thing to try and, oh, I'm gonna create content around this. Da, da, da. It's great. And I love seeing the teachers that do that. And if that's fulfilling your cup, by all means do that. My cup wouldn't have handled that. And I had to respect my cup. My cup was working on my own, making sure that my students were taught and that they were learning things outside of just the subject that I taught, but that they're excelling and being able to grasp new information and then being able to come home so I can factory reset and be ready for the next day.
Thank you. Just my
Mm-hmm.
last question. What is one
Sure.
last piece of advice that you want to give to either teachers now, teachers who's just getting in, just general advice you would like to leave?
Um, mm, okay. I think I would leave you with three advice. So I'm going to talk to them. Hi, teacher. Hello. If there were three things that I wish someone would have had a conversation with me about before jumping into teaching or being in the education field, number one is that you cannot fix everything. I'm a fixer. I went in thinking I could do this, do this, do this, do this. And I quickly learned that that is not my job. Focus on your classroom and also communicate that with your students. I made it very, very known to my students. What happens to B20 is a B20 thing. We're going to handle B20 in B20. So making sure that you are literally setting your boundaries and not trying to overwork yourself and overdo things to please or to look like the super teacher, baby. No, ma'am. Because let me tell you something. These teachers that have been there for years, they're gonna be mad that this new teacher coming in and being able to handle the classroom and being able to. They don't like that because they've been there for 30 some odd years and they can't get a grasp of their students. So focus on your classroom and your classroom only. Invest in your students. Invest in your room, and also letting the students know that it's not just a classroom, but it's their home. Make it feel that way. So that's number one. Number two, leave work at work and go home when you go home. Like for me, I literally had a routine. In the morning, I'll listen to music that's uplifting for me, that's going to get my day started, just really get my mind into a good place. It's usually gospel music for me. And then same thing, once I get into the building, I still got to play in all the things. I really don't stop listening until the bell rings because I'm like, and scene, like now I can start. But definitely having a routine, even when you're leaving, once you leave out, whatever that looks like, how you shut down your classroom, whatever you need to do before you go home, once you get in your car, whether you're listening to podcasts or listening to music, whatever that looks like, have a routine for yourself as a teacher. You have your skincare routine, hair care routine, getting dressed routine, whatever that looks like. Have your routine as the teacher. What does that look like? And then, of course, you'll have a routine for your students, but making sure that you have something in place that gets you prepared mentally for the day and mentally to go home. Because again, you do not want to take work stress home. Because, girl, the teachers love to gossip and they're going to try and tie you in it. Don't, one thing about Miss S, I didn't do that. You heard Miss no, I did not. And by the way, I'm about to go get my kids from the calf. Thank you so much. You have a blessed day. Don't get tied into that teacher gossip, baby, because it will ruin you. You don't think they're not going to talk about you the way they talk about another teacher, baby. I'm telling you, that is not the best advice. Make friends with teachers that genuinely love what they do. That's number 3. Make friends with teachers that love what they do, that care about the students. Find teachers that are on the same wave as you are, because you're going to find teachers that are tired. They don't care no more. They're like, look, come in here. Here's your worksheet. Copy the board. See you tomorrow. That was not the type of teacher that I was, and I could not surround myself with those types of teachers. I needed teachers that cared about the students, right? I surrounded myself with teachers that genuinely wanted these students to succeed. They wanted them to be better. They wanted a new life for these students. So those are the people that I talked to, communicated with, hung out with, asked questions. I was, again, a sponge. Whenever I was concerned about something, I went straight to them. Hey, so I have this student who's struggling with this. How did you handle it? What is something that I could do to help this student? That's the best advice that I could give you. Surround yourself with like-minded teachers that care about their students, because you're going to have the ones that don't. And it's cute. It's funny in the moment to laugh at their little jokes. But I'm telling you, that is going to be a direct reflection of who you are as a teacher. And honestly, like I said, these students are not dumb to the fact. They're very much aware. So if they see you hanging out with that teacher and they know how they feel about that teacher, they're going to think that you're also that type of teacher. So set your boundaries. Number 1, leave work at work, go home when you go home, and surround yourself with like-minded teachers, because they're going to be the ones to really help you make your classroom feel like a home for those students every single day until the last day of school.